Harry McCann. The truth is, Jersey City is getting better. For all of us.
A bookstore where the sky's the limit.
Details at 6.
I show you the front page of the New York Times last Thursday. New Yorkers were surprised to read. Now, let me see if I can do my camera work here. Where is it? There it is. Way down in the lower right-hand corner. Pan right. How do you feel about a public school for gays? High school? No, you don't like the idea. Who does? Think it's a good idea? Why?
No, don't ask me why.
What is it?
Don't ask me why.
I think it's a very good idea.
Because?
Because I know in places, I mean, I think in New York City that gays can get along all right because there isn't that much prejudice, but in places like Queens, there are a lot of people who...
Well, Queens is New York City, but I think I know what you mean. Manhattan is more tolerant than Queens?
Yeah, a lot more tolerant.
Hmm. And if you're a gay person in a high school, people will call you a faggot, make fun of you, maybe even physically harass.
I think gays should have their own schools because they pay taxes also.
So let's have a school for blacks.
Why not? We do already. In essence, we're separate and unequal.
For politically conservative students.
What's wrong?
Let's have a liberal high school. Where do we stop?
We don't.
And then you've got yourself a real fractured society.
We do now.
Not a bad point. Steve Ashkinazy joins us, Director of Clinical Programs for the Institute for Protection of Lesbian and Gay Youth. It's your organization, in cooperation with the City of New York, established this school.
We established a school, and I have to say that I think it's an unfortunate thing that there needs to be such a school. I would rather there not be a need. I don't think that segregated schools are a good idea either. At the Institute, where we counsel young people who are lesbian and gay with all sorts of problems, we saw the need continually. We saw young people who were coming to us who had dropped out of school, been discharged from schools, pushed out of schools because they were being humiliated, they were being beaten up. They had such a terrible time in school that the whole idea of going to school just turned them off.
I sense this audience appears to be against your idea. Does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't surprise me because I think that the facts in the case are not very well understood, and I hope that we can clear up some of the issues while we're here today.
Louis Fiol is 18 years old. You are a gay teen, and you went to public high school. Did you in the city?
No, it was in Long Island.
On Long Island. How'd it go?
A lot of harassment.
Really? We should say, have you graduated?
No, not yet.
You will be?
Yeah, I went back. I dropped out for a while because I left Long Island. I couldn't handle the pressures there, and I wasn't even openly gay. I could imagine if I was openly gay, what would have happened then?
So what do you suppose provoked your trouble, Louis?
Just how closed-minded people are.
Well, but I don't perceive, it's difficult to ask this without sounding prejudiced myself.
Harassed.
Yeah, I was
You
being
were
harassed.
being harassed, but if you were not out of the closet, what would provoke their suspicion?
I don't know. Maybe I'm feminine. I don't know. I really don't.
As a matter of fact, the word on the students at this school, that number 20, we should say Louis is not a member, is not a student at
That
this.
Louis is someone who, through the Institute, was able to get back into school.
Right.
You know, we have been accused recently of segregating gay kids out of school, and as I said earlier, that's not our intention. Louis is a perfect example of a youngster who came to us who needed to get back to school, and through our counseling was able to get back into a mainstream alternative high school program that wasn't a segregated gay program.
This new school has 20 students and only one teacher, so it's stretching it to call it a school.
It's a program of the
All right.
Board of Education.
It's a start.
classroom.
We have 14 males and 6 women, young women.
That's right.
The word, according to the New York Times article, was that the males were especially effeminate, meaning they're visibly effeminate. And that made life for them in the mainstream difficult. Would you agree with that characterization?
I think it might be an exaggeration. Also, the press never really saw the students, although they tried to, and we've been trying to protect the students, and I think the press has, for the most part, handled this very badly. A lot of the students are very intimidated. I must say some of them cried, trying to keep the press away from photographing the students who definitely did not want the pictures in the paper.
Right. They would not accommodate our invitations to appear on the program.
I'm an educator.
For that reason, they feel the media is Here we go, another gay issue, and media sells papers with this. Is that it?
I'm afraid that's the truth.
I'm in education for 10 years in special ed, and I have crippled kids, and I have mentally with wheelchairs, and they are pushed into mainstream, and they are made to fit into the regular high school, so they're not isolated. So it's not inevitable that when they get jobs, then they're dumped into society with harassment.
Yeah.
What about my kids who've had to go with their crutches up 3 flights and been laughed at?
But as I don't have to tell you, the expert, you're in this work. Many parents of children who have special needs want the mainstream.
Yes, mine do. They don't want the isolation. They want the child to learn how to handle this harassment.
So you're running against that pressure, that if we take gays out of the mainstream, then that just makes life even more complicated for them on the occasion of their being returned to a society which may not be altogether welcoming. Mr. Kramer, sir, you are Larry Kramer, and your play about AIDS is currently running. It's titled The Normal Heart, and it's at Public Theater here in New York City. You're a member of the Yale class of '57. That's my year, Mr. Kramer. You also wrote a novel titled Faggots. As distracting as that word is, that's the...
Yes, well, I mean, to answer to your question of Lewis, what difference does it make if a gay kid is openly gay in a school or not? He feels the rejection of the other kids because kids are always making these kind of remarks. I mean, if everyone thinks you're straight, they're even more likely to make anti-gay remarks in work, in school, whatever.
What? What's the matter? Go ahead, Larry. Yeah.
Well, I have to wonder where you stop separating children because they're different. You're taking a teenager and you're saying, all right, you have a problem dealing with this because you're gay. We'll put you in a special high school. You get black students, like you said.
Short kids, tall girls. A school for tall girls where people don't laugh at.
And then you're saying... And then on top of that, you're telling me this is a public school. We have gifted students, we have handicapped students, and we have students that just have special needs. Yeah. And tax money is not going to them, and you're telling me it's going to a high school for gay students.
Yeah,
we're talking about $50,000 here. We're talking about a mayor of New York. Yes. Why does it have to be?
Right now, it just started. You're going to get all kinds of children who are perhaps confused about their sexuality and say, well, let me just try this.
Right. No,
and you're going to be encouraging.
All of the students are screened before they come in, and I will say that at the Institute, we see a lot of students, a lot of youngsters who are confused about their sexuality, and we do not push them one way or the other. The students in this school are students who know who they are and have been so harassed that they cannot make it any other place.
And the important thing is that they have sought you out.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kramer.
They can't screen people before they get jobs. Why should they screen them before they go to school? They have to live with everyone and should go to school with everyone.
Yeah. Well, I think...
Let me introduce Herb Kaplan, Ph.D. You are a psychotherapist and family therapist. You're professor of counseling at Hofstra University, and you join the majority of this audience in suggesting this is not a good idea.
Well, I think it's a complex situation. There's some good that comes out of it. I think it may certainly be helping these 20 youngsters who felt harassed, who felt badgered. The part that troubles me is that we're labeling again, we're stereotyping, and what this serves to do, in my opinion, is perpetuate the prejudice. That's the real root of the problem.
Dr. Kaplan, let me try one here. Those of you who support Dr. Kaplan's position appear, at least in this room, to be in the majority. Let's, however, get this in. There are a number of gay students who have truly been, whose lives have been made miserable by homophobic students in high school, and those victims of that behavior want to know where you were at the time that in other words, we stand up for the good old melting pot at a time like this, but we don't help these kids when they're under pressure.
I have a second grader that suffers from neurofibromatosis, and he is constantly...
Neurofibromatosis is the visible disease. It's the disease that the elephant man suffered.
Right. And at this point, he has no visible signs but spots. My child is constantly harassed at school. They want to classify him emotionally disturbed. Well, why doesn't he have to contend with what my child has to contend with?
Well, let me ask you this. Are you supportive of your child, though? And I suppose that he has teachers and counselors who are.
No,
many of these children not only harassed by other students, but are thrown out of their homes,
No.
are singled out by teachers who intimidate
Let's
them?
keep the dialogue here, Mr. Ashkinazy.
The teachers will not support him. When he is teased, the children have called him Elephant Man. They have beat up on him. The bus is a serious situation, and the teachers will not do anything. The
That
principal...
being the case, would you support a high school or a separate school for your son and those who are similarly afflicted?
No, I think he has to live in today's world. He has to learn to control himself. At the moment, he's going to psychologists just to learn to control his anger. When he gets infuriated, he will fight back with these kids, and so he's in trouble for fighting and hitting, and they're not in trouble for teasing.
Phil, I think if I can jump in, this presents an important point. There are many, many youngsters in school who are not homosexual that still have problems. And many homosexuals go through school with relative comfort. They take part in offices, they're on school teams. They function happily, or relatively happily. Maybe a function of the school might be to help youngsters learn more about human behavior, more about group dynamics, getting along better together, rather than abet segregation.
Hi, are you there?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I would just like to make a comment about when I was an adolescent. I am a lesbian, and I was extremely verbally and physically harassed. Now, I since have succeeded. I'm a doctor, a medical doctor. I'm still a lesbian. I've been a lesbian all my life. But the point is that I don't think that this audience is sensitive to the very painful alienation that a homosexual feels from their church, from their family, from their educational system, from all aspects of society, where other oppressed minorities still at least have somewhere where they are supported.
Hang on. Hang on just a second.
Lady, why should we be supportive of something that is a clear-out sin? Read your Bible.
Read your Bible. What's the matter?
We keep discussing various things about our children being afflicted with various diseases, but we're forgetting the fact that it's not the same thing. Because you're by singling out the gays and the homosexuals and everything, they're afflicted by a different thing. They're harassed with religious things, like that lady just said. I mean, it's against God. It's against religion.
You don't share that view.
No, I agree with them having a different school because they have been harassed.
Yeah.
I realize that homophobia is a big problem and it's hard to deal with, but I think that if you take the gays out of the schools, how are people ever going to learn to deal with homophobia?
Well, sometimes the school serves to help people get back into the mainstream. Since the school has been set up, 2 youngsters through the school have gotten back into the mainstream school after being helped with the problems that they were suffering from before.
We're not talking about a national trend here. We're talking about 20 kids who were dropouts, who have the same kind of problems that young pregnant teenage mothers have, where there's a school for them, a special school for them. Kids on drug problems, there's special counseling for them. We are talking about a counseling program. We're not talking about your average homosexual kid who is going to have his certain problems in his school, but who's going to stay in the school.
Is this a former church?
It's in a present church, not a former church.
I better make that clear, especially for the pastor who presides over the church. Here's just an exterior view of, you want to show them that, David? This school is located in Manhattan, in the Greenwich Village area. And as we've already established, there are 20 students, and 6 are women, and there's only 1 teacher. What do you think?
Well, my question is, what is the alternative for these kids? If they were not going to the school, would they be hanging out on the west side?
They all were. They all were. In fact, what really disturbs me is that this classroom of 20 kids going to school has made national headlines, and students going to school is a normal thing. That's where they belong. The fact that 100 times this many young gay kids every single week are hanging out on the streets of Greenwich Village, getting involved in juvenile prostitution and drugs because they've been thrown out of school, thrown out of their homes, and nobody makes a story about that because nobody cares.
Obviously, there's more than 20 gay children, whatever age group it is, in the city. Why are there only 20?
Well, you have to walk before you run, if that's, I mean...
There's 20. I mean, people run to bargains quicker than this.
Well, actually, we've had requests. We've had requests from students who want to be in the school who we have turned down because they're doing well with it.
How much attention, how many requests have you had, guess, since the publicity?
For this, to enter the school?
Yeah.
Not only have we had requests from students who want to join the school, but we have had numerous requests from teachers and counselors who want to volunteer any kind of services. About 90% of the calls we've had have been totally supportive.
Are you there? Hi.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I want to know why we have to have a school for homosexuals. Why can't they go to a regular school with regular students and not advertise that they're homosexuals?
You want them to be quiet. You want homosexuals to
I want them in regular schools without revealing that they're homosexual.
In other words, if you're gay, just shut up.
That's right. Shut up and keep it to yourself.
Hang on a minute. Yes, ma'am.
I understand that this is a public school.
Yes, ma'am.
And isn't it against the law to have segregation? This is a form of segregation, and in public schools, that's against the law.
Yeah.
Well, he talked about these gays being out on the street. There are a lot of homeless teenagers. I mean, we see stories on television about that all the time.
Did you know that 1/3 of the homeless on the streets, homeless youth on the streets of New York committing crimes are gay?
What about the other 2/3?
There are alternative schools for them, too.
For
We're talking about counseling here. We're not talking about a separate educational system for gay people.
Louis, could you be more specific regarding the pressure that you felt? We ever...
I'd walk down the hallway, somebody would yell at faggot or queer or things like that.
Yeah.
And I was even going out with a girl. I had a girlfriend for 2 years. And it was, I guess it was that obvious. And it's people like that lady in the audience.
Well, what do you mean? What was that obvious? You had a girl... What's the hand about?
No, the lady in the audience that said it's a sin.
God said it, she said.
I didn't hear him say it.
Read your Bible, sweetie.
Were you there when he said it?
God said
So
it.
is it
I
worth-
didn't have to be there. It's in the Bible.
Is it worth taking my life for it? I tried to commit suicide because I thought it was a sin and I thought it was horrible. But it's worth living instead of taking your life just because you're gay. You're still a person, still a human being.
You can have counseling.
Do you want 24 million men and women to just disappear? Is that what you're saying? There are 24 million gay men and women. We do not have a choice. Most of us are very proud of being gay. Are we supposed to disappear from this earth?
You're not supposed to
We
disappear. You're
cannot
supposed
change,
to clean up your life.
We do not want to change. What? What was your... What did she say? I didn't hear.
Clean up your life.
You want to talk to her?
I think you should clean up your mind.
Yeah.
If you call it a counseling program, the thing I don't understand is why label it a high school? I think that's where your
It's not a counseling
problem
program.
is.
It's an educational program. The Institute is a counseling program. The Harvey Milk School is an educational program.
We should say the school is named after the San Francisco city supervisor who was slain several years
Who was
ago.
murdered by a man who talked like this woman here.
I'm concerned about why, if it's a counseling program, the counseling services couldn't be provided through the usual channels.
Well, they weren't.
Through the schools.
Hi, are you there? Go right ahead.
Yes, I am. I'm a nurse who works at St. Vincent's Hospital in the village, the heart of the village. And I'm telling you, I see these gay students, these gay young people out in the street all day, all night, with no education. And I feel that if this is a way to get them to go to school and get an education and learn gay pride, then I think we should do it. All right? There's special schools out there for students who are handicapped. I have a retarded sister. She's in a special school. There's special schools out there for educated children with high abilities. Why not a school for these children so they can get an education?
Well, when I was in Long Island, when I moved from Brooklyn, I was harassed too because I was a new kid on the block. Now, I can imagine what gay or homosexual people go through. Now, when I came in here, I was against the high school. But if it's an institution that if they want to get the diploma and their education and that's what they have to do, then they should build one up. They should all go there. I'm for it.
One of the problems, it appears, Mr. Ashkinazy, is that the average American does not have the opportunity to witness the kind of vulnerability that does exist among young gays who do loiter, for lack of a better
Well, that's
word.
because most young gays either do not tell anybody, and I wouldn't say they live in relative comfort, as it's been pointed out. They live in great turmoil. I think all three of us who are gay up here on this panel have attempted to commit suicide when we were younger because we were under so much pressure. I think that's what young people go through. then you have that other element that is more vocal about it, and they just drop out.
Right.
You know, you can't counsel people in the regular school systems if they've already dropped out. You have to have a program that's going to reach out and bring them back.
Steve, it's deplorable that people would try to commit suicide, certainly. But I think there's a tendency to look at situations like this with a tunnel vision, to say all my problems are because I'm gay. And adolescents have a lot of problems, not just homosexual or heterosexual.
You have established that you had a girlfriend. Was this, in your view, an effort to deny your gayness?
Yeah.
It was.
Have we not all tried that at one time or
another?
Yeah. I was, people try to talk about the choice, you know, the choice to be gay or not to be gay, and it really is not a choice. I have never met a homosexual in all the years that I've been counseling that did not go through some concerted effort in their coming out years trying to stop that.
Hi, are you there?
Yes.
What do you think?
I think the real problem has not been approached. I think the real problem is the society of the school in which someone who is different is not accepted. And I think it's like Nazi Germany. They say, what are you going to do with the Jews? Well, what are you going to do with the Nazis or the people who torture and abuse anyone who is different? The real problem is dealing with these people who beat up on them and take advantage of anyone who is different. And I think that's where the problem lies and where it has to be dealt with.
Yeah. Yeah, but so what's your position then? You want, how do you feel about the high school?
I think the high school, the teachers and all the people there have to teach the abusers and the people who are taking advantage of anyone who's different how to accept and tolerate people into their atmosphere who aren't hurting them.
True.
Who are different. That's the real problem. We're growing up with a bunch of Nazis who won't let anyone be different.
Yeah. We do seem to be a very, very fractured society. This is not good for us. I mean, we are, next thing you know, it's going to be, we're going to put the gray hairs someplace. You know, that's got me a little nervous. You know, your hair turns gray, that's it. You're over, you're lost it, and we're going to take care of you in a most patronizing way.
What subjects do they teach?
What subjects? Regular curriculum?
It's an absolutely regular high school curriculum. English, science, social studies, math.
If it's a public high school you're trying to get, why isn't it called private if there's a screening and it's not open to the public? It is private and you have to go through a screening to get in?
The screening is to make sure that the person needs the program. Nobody would be turned down from the program if they really wanted to go.
Steve, I think it's a minor point in terms of the intent of the school as you describe it, but I don't see how one teacher could teach a regular curriculum.
Well,
you couldn't be an expert in math and history and English.
He's not offering this school as the absolute ultimate at this moment in academic achievement.
The school has
but I think we ought to describe it accurately.
The class has been operating now only since April 15th.
Yes. We're talking about a school that cost the city $50,000 a year. The mayor of New York went to Cardinal O'Connor's ordination in Rome, spent $16,000 right there.
Larry, it's not the money, it's the fact that prejudice is never resolved by separation.
That's true.
We haven't learned that in this country.
Yeah. We are in, I'll give you a chance, Mr. Kramer. We are in New York City. You'll beg my interruption here. Pardon my interruption. We have an audience that's clearly interested in this, and the phones are jammed. How do you feel about it? A gay high school in New York City, and we'll be back in a moment.
The first time ever I saw your face,
you still remind him of the first time. Because Oil of Olay helps replenish fluids your skin once knew. Each greaseless drop eases dryness to revive the radiant look he loves.
your face, your face.
Oil of Olay. It can help you look younger, too.
In New Orleans, like everywhere, people are about to discover a great-tasting decaffeinated coffee. New Maxwell House Instant Decaffeinated. The only decaffeinated instant with all the delicious aroma and rich, smooth taste of Maxwell House. That's good coffee. New Maxwell House Instant Decaffeinated Coffee. Good to the last decaffeinated drop.
It couldn't be anything but Maxwell House.
And where did we get this? What's the problem?
Well, I bought it. It's from Aramis.
Oh, nice.
Well, it has cologne, has shampoo, this little hairdryer.
The Aramis Travel Kit with 7 groomers and a hairdryer. An outstanding value for $18.50 when you purchase Aramis, Devon, Aramis 900, or JHL.
What's your address? I'll send you one.
I can't believe you said that.
Available at Saks Fifth Avenue.
In a neighborhood like this, you gotta defend yourself at all times. That's why I work out every day. Of course, you gotta be smart, too. That's why I always watch the People's Court. You know, I thought I knew the angles pretty good. But that Judge Wapner taught me something. The guy's still got to defend himself. Only now I don't use this. I use this. Thank heaven for the People's Court. It's definitely a civilized alternative.
The People's Court, today at 4:30 here on Channel 4.
Hi, thanks for waiting.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, not much time.
Okay, I totally agree with the idea of a gay school, but I don't think it should be publicly funded. My folks, when they came over to America, didn't know any English, and thereby they weren't put in a special school by the public for...
So you want privately funded gay schools if that's your choice, huh?
Sure, definitely.
Hang on a minute.
They should go out and they should put up the money for this themselves.
Hang on a minute.
I'm curious about Lewis's former Long Island High School. There are counselors in the high school. I was just curious if he did speak to them and what was their attitude towards you, if any.
I didn't dare. I thought it was like a sin, like she said. I thought it was so horrible, and I thought there was something wrong with me. And I thought if I told someone, because I went to a Catholic school for 2 years, and they preached the same thing.
Yeah.
I have a question for Lewis. At what age did he come to the realization that he was gay, and was there, you know, one main factor, you know, that happened to him that made him come to this realization?
Nothing ever happened. I just knew since I was about 7 or 8. I always knew, but I never told anyone until I was about 15.
Did you think you
and
were...
I was told that it was a stage.
It was a stage. It was a phase you were going through.
Right, a phase.
Yeah, and how about your self-esteem, Lewis? Can you tell us anything about your own emotional well-being during this period?
I started doing worse in school. Once I hit 10th grade, I started doing worse. All my subjects went down. I started failing. I had to go to summer school.
You really
and I used to be a good student when I was in Catholic school.
And you considered suicide?
I was in the hospital for a month. Nassau community.
And the reason you... I'm sorry to go over this painful period in your life, but you obviously had to be at the bottom of the well when you did that. Well, what...
I had told my girlfriend, and she thought it was a joke because I like to act, and I would do different things to catch her off guard. And she says, "Oh, you're acting again, aren't you?" And I said, "No, it's true." And then after like a half hour trying to explain, it's true, it's true. She just started crying, so I just ran out of the house, locked myself in my house, and that's when it happened.
Well, first I'd like to say that I think it's about time that this situation has been addressed and these students are getting the kind of counseling that they need. But I don't think that an education environment is the right situation, because they can't live in the gay community their whole life and never come into contact with the heterosexual community.
Well, for one thing, they're not living in the gay community all their life. They're going to a school, and although they are getting counseling, as was pointed out before, I agree with Mr. Kaplan that segregation is not the answer to prejudice. But if we wait until prejudice stops before letting these kids get an education, they're never going to get an education. We're going to be supporting them on welfare for the rest of their life.
What's going to happen when he finishes the schooling for whatever amount of time that takes? He has to go out into society. He has to get a job.
Couldn't we have counseling for gays and workshops within the school, therefore helping the gay community, but also making others aware of what's happening?
That would be simply wonderful, but it just doesn't exist. Truly does not exist in this city or this country when we have people like this woman here who can call us a sin. We will always have all of these enemies. How do we get that kind of counseling? How do we get the gay culture taught in schools? If I tell you that every production of Our Town that you see, do you know that that was written by a gay author, Thornton Wilder? Every time you read a Walt Whitman poem, do you know that that was written by a gay poet? Did you know that King James, who commissioned the Bible, was gay?
Who wrote it? Why do you have to reinforce that fact?
We have to give gay people pride.
I don't think you have to reinforce that fact time and time again. If a Jewish person does something, do all the Jews have to say, hey, that's great? Or if a black person does something, isn't that
we do.
Isn't that segregation
Jewish, and that's
also?
how I was taught to be proud that I was a Jew.
Jewish. Mr. Ashkinazy, you wear a yarmulke. Are you an Orthodox Jew?
I'm an Orthodox Jew.
And how are you doing in the synagogue with this?
Well, I have had a lot of support within the Orthodox community. I certainly know many Orthodox Jews who are gay, most of whom are not as open about it as I am, but many of them are really happy that I'm doing it and feel that their life will be a little bit better because I am. And I will say that as far as, you know, being accused of being sinning, a sin is something that a person has to choose to do or not to do. Being homosexual is not a choice, and therefore I think that a person has to address their religious beliefs with the best of intentions, make a great effort. I believe in the Bible, and I think it's a great blueprint for how we can perfect our lives, but I have yet to meet a person ever who lived entirely 100% in agreement with every biblical commandment.
And we'll be back in just a minute.
Shall we dance? Shall we dance? Shall we dance?
Presenting Yul Brynner, the original king in Rodgers and Hammerstein's most musical musical, The King and I.
For a kid to love a show like that, it's got to be good.
He has a sex appeal, and I think everyone should come out and see him in his red.
On June 30th, Mr. Yul Brynner will play his final performance on Broadway in Rodgers and Hammerstein's The King and I. See it before it goes. Call 212-239-6200 now. This is your last chance.
This is Siemens Buyer's Guide to Furniture Value. Entry number 5, this week's featured buy at Siemens. Just look what you can get for $77. Your choice of correlated bedroom pieces for children, teens, or that extra bedroom. Only $77 for your choice of mirror, bachelor chest, chair, night table, small hutch, twin headboard in several styles. Each piece just $77 this week at Siemens. It's a fantastic buy, a fantastic reason to see Siemens first.
See Siemens first.
To bake baked beans this savory, rich, and delicious, you would sort them and soak them, measure in the mustard, slice the bacon, pack the brown sugar, approve the seasonings. Then bake them in a real brick oven until the sun went down. If you had the time, you could bake beans like this, or you could buy B&M baked beans. There's really no other choice.
Who can make the sunshine in the middle of the night? Bake cheese it high-ho to make the party right. The Baker Man can. The Sunshine Baker Man can.
American Heritage crackers are sunshine baked in delicious flavors like onion, wheat, or cheddar.
And who can make a cracker delicious as can be? The Sunshine Baker Man can. The Sunshine Baker Man can.
Let me share with you some numbers. I promise we won't overwhelm you with stats here, but 19% of gay women and 45% of gay men report having been harassed, threatened, or assaulted in high school or junior high school. Males are a special problem, not only here, but some might suggest everywhere. The male is more likely to harass someone who's different, to be sure, a gay person. 90% of gay men and women report having been harassed, threatened, or assaulted. And finally, 10% of gay men and 20% of gay women report having been physically assaulted. Larry Kramer is a graduate of the class of '57 at Yale, to which beloved institution you returned for your reunion as an out-of-the-closet, politically active, creative artist from New York City. How were you received?
Well, the comparison is to go back to 30-some years when I was there and shared with Lewis the same kind of threats and also the same kind of suicide attempts and the same feeling of being the only person in the entire world who was gay. Yale today is quite remarkable. They have a very active gay organization on campus. When I was there last year, they have a week every year devoted to gay culture, to lectures. There are 600 kids who go to a dance. There's a gay alumni association across the country, At the reunion this year, we all went out dancing. A member of the football team is openly gay. A member of Skull and Bones, the most secret of secret societies, is openly gay. When I was there, the Whiffenpoofs, which is a straight singing group, would never take a Jew, now has 5 gay people.
What? I bet that makes Yale feel real good.
Yeah.
Makes me feel real good, and that's what I'm concerned with.
Well, while you're laughing, let us understand that there isn't a major institution of higher education in America, including my own University of Notre Dame, that does not have as an adjunct a gay organization of alumni, of students, of studies, of inquiry.
I always want to ask people like that, do you wish us dead? What do you want us to do? But we cannot change. You cannot become homosexual. I cannot become heterosexual.
Larry,
it is as simple as that.
The unfortunate part of this, I think, Phil, the unfortunate part of this is that it's not only removing homosexuals from people that harass them, it's removing homosexuals from people that might get along well with them. And it's denying both homosexuals and heterosexuals.
What, this school of 20 kids?
No, the philosophy, the concept.
Mr. Kramer, it does seem to be, I'm not sure it's necessarily to the point to argue the size of this school. What we really, let's argue the merits of this idea. We can presume that this audience presumes that this is the beginning. And
well, it won't be. It just won't
but
be.
if it won't, wouldn't you want it to be? I mean, if you support
I
this.
don't want to go to an all-homosexual school. No, we are talking about kids who are on the streets who need counseling to return them to the regular school. Yeah. What I want is the public schools to teach gay culture.
Yeah.
Right, but this all boils back down to the fact that this school is asking people who do not like the thought of it to support it. What it really amounts to is the same thing as religious schools saying, why doesn't public support us? Well, we know they can't do it,
Except
but the people, wait, the people who believe what that religion
they form their own school, fund their own school.
They fund their own school. You just a while ago said there are 24 million gays in this country.
Who all pay taxes.
Why not? Why can they not?
Taxes.
The people in public, in these
we do not take anything out of the
too.
system. We do not send our children to school. We do not ask for anything.
So why cannot your 24 million take care of your people in your school?
Well, the school is mostly funded by gay contributions. The city gives $50,000.
But the principle is still extant. We do have public money.
Why must it be either or? That's, I mean, all of a sudden we have a whole network of schools.
If Catholics have the obligation to pay for their own way educationally, why don't, that's his point.
But what's wrong with the principle? What's wrong with the principle is that Catholics, if they want to teach, Catholicism, will have to do it through their own money. But we're not teaching a gay curriculum, we're teaching a regular curriculum.
Right. And we're talking
many
about
religious groups get public money to provide services, social services.
Mr. Kramer weighs in with the observation that these are, by and large, street kids. Isolated, vulnerable street kids. And he wants to know why, as a society, we wouldn't be welcoming in terms of a safe place for them to be educated.
I just wonder if a separate school for homosexuals will help our society to accept homosexuality.
What do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah.
I think that it's putting them in one spot, and if they're going to be harassed, they're going to know where to go to be harassed.
I would like to know if all of them are going to be homosexual counselors, or will it be ecumenical?
Ecumenical. Will it be
repeat that.
I'm not sure I understand your question either.
I would like to think that perhaps not all of the counselors should be gays.
Oh, I see.
Well, at the Institute, we do not discriminate. We have a number of heterosexuals on our staff, on our board of directors. We also, aside from myself being Jewish, we have a Methodist minister on our staff, a woman who is heterosexual, who is very active in her fundamentalist Pentecostal church.
Right.
We have a Roman Catholic on the staff. We have heterosexual and homosexual people.
Hi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead.
I want to add a good note to all this. I'm a 17-year-old student, also from Long Island. I have kind of a happy story. I came out when I was in high school. When I was a junior in high school, I happened to be in a lucky position. I was a star at the soccer team. I was accepted before I came out, I was accepted after I came out. I'm lucky, but I also know that there's a lot of people out there, a lot of my friends, who are not so lucky. They lost friends, they lost the support of their family. I had all that. These people didn't, and they were left high and dry. They had no place to go.
So how do you feel about this?
How do I feel about the school?
I don't have much time now. Don't.
Okay, I think it's great for people who need it. I didn't happen to need it, but I think it's necessary for people who need it. Okay, I was lucky. A lot of people aren't lucky enough to have the support of family and friends.
Perhaps a problem is that these youngsters are being stressed more as being homosexual than runaways or dropouts.
Exactly.
Why couldn't they be incorporated in a school that has homosexuals and heterosexuals with the same problems?
We tried that, it didn't work.
Louis, I'm sorry, Mr. Kramer. You wanted to say what?
You got to remember that these kids are not like the average, kid that you see. They are more feminine than the usual kid that you see on the street, and the girls are tougher, except for maybe a few exceptions. Yeah. But most of them are different.
Steve, if we can't get 20 youngsters of heterosexual and homosexuals to work together, it says sad things about the whole thing.
I have gone with some kids, before setting up this school, I have gone holding the hand of a kid who's been out of school for a while to walk him through his first day of class in an alternative school that was famous for being much more open, conducive, supportive climate, and it did not work. And not only did it not work, but I lost that student permanently who would not come back to me or trust me again.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
Just for me. Now there's something new under the sun. Introducing Lipton Decaffeinated Instant Iced Tea.
Ooh, Lipton tea, you made new, decaffeinated just for me.
Yes, Lipton also has a decaffeinated instant tea any way you like it, with sugar, with NutraSweet, or unsweetened. Delicious.
Ooh, Lipton tea, you made new, decaffeinated just for us.
How do you measure the power of a laundry detergent? This takes a half cup to clean your wash. Aeroplus, just a quarter cup. But which has more power on many stains? We'll write on grape juice with this leading half cup you've been using for years. Then Aeroplus. See how Aero puts more concentrated power right on the stain to clean rings around the half cup. So do you want to use more detergent or more power? Aeroplus. The protein power is in the quarter cup.
Give me lighter foods that taste good, and I'll give you a smile.
The all-new lighter food menu from Friendly. The taste will make you smile.
It will?
You bet. The new Friendly salads, pita pockets, and croissant sandwiches all taste terrific.
They do?
And they're lighter on the new Friendly menu.
The all-new lighter food menu from Friendly.
Tastes perfect.
The taste will make you smile. Thanks to the K, you can't pinch an inch. Thanks to the K, you can't pinch an inch on me.
With the help of the 220-calorie Kellogg's Special K breakfast and those big, crispy, low-sugar, high-protein flakes, I can't think of a tastier or better way to start my day.
Thanks to the K, you can't pinch an inch on me.
A chorus line. A chorus line. The best musical ever is now the longest-running show in Broadway history. A chorus line. The winner of the Pulitzer Prize and every award Broadway could come up with. A chorus line. The singular sensation at the Schubert Theater. Call Telecharge for tickets now. 239-6200.
We are, to be sure, fascinated by, alternately, depending on who we are, angered and encouraging on the issue of homosexuality, or sexuality generally. We do appear to be somewhat immature for a nation that prides itself in so many other cultural achievements. We still do laugh at, and make fun of males who lisp. We draw stereotypes about limp wrists. And one thing we ought to keep in mind, What mother wouldn't want her daughter to come home with Louis Fiol? Here is a very attractive young man who's obviously... Now, you applaud that because you want him to go straight, as we say. But you'll pardon this preachment. Louis happens to be a young man who knows who he is and figured himself out, almost killed himself in the effort. We have to wonder about all those other Louis Fiols who haven't and who are desperately trying to accommodate the pressure that is manifested in your applause to go straight. And what they are doing in more than a few occasions is coming home with your daughter and marrying them, only to discover, after maybe 1 or 2 children, a very tragic feature of that will reflect itself for the rest of their lives. We have got to, if they're not free, will we ever be free? Are you upset at this, what is this, just a liberal protestation?
When I came to this country, I didn't speak one word of English, and I was put into the public schools, and I learned it within 6 months. However, I wish that there would have been someone there that I could talk to and express what I was feeling, and there wasn't. So I think it's a similar situation. I think that they should have counseling, therapy if necessary, support groups, but always within the context of the public school.
So you want mainstreaming then?
Yes, yes.
Now, can we have a picture from Mr. Ashkinazy as to how these students are performing in school? Are they punctual? Are they coming to school? What's their attendance? Have they focused attention on work?
From not having attended school at all or being chronic truants, most of them have beautiful attendance. They're doing wonderfully in school. Their scholastic achievement is very high, and they have a very positive attitude towards learning and going on to college.
I want to ask Louis, how did you find this school?
No, I'm
he does not attend this school. He attends a school in Long Island from which you departed.
No, I did attend.
Yes. Are you going back?
No, I'm going back to City High School. It's here in Manhattan.
But not the gay school, as we're discussing today.
The Institute did refer him to.
Right.
Yes.
Nathan Quinones is the chancellor of the New York City school system. How'd you like his job? And here's what he had to say when the press from out of the sky and everywhere descended on him. Here's his comment about the Harvey Milk School.
We have a responsibility for all youngsters to the age of 21 and to provide them with an education. We cannot say that we are responsible for reducing dropouts and then focus our attention on only one dimension of the student population. We are servicing currently youngsters in Rikers Island. We're servicing youngsters who are having problems with drugs. We're servicing youngsters who at the age of 14 are pregnant. And we are servicing these youngsters also, all of whom, may I add, have been identified for us by community-based organizations.
I just graduated from a Catholic high school. Kids are mean. It doesn't matter Catholic high school or public high school.
Kids are mean.
Everyone is. It doesn't matter. No, because you go to a Catholic high school and you're gonna, if you're different, if you talk funny, if you look different, if you don't act like everyone else.
You're not suggesting this is exclusive to Catholic education. It's everywhere. How do you explain that? Why is that?
Because they don't want to accept other people. It's like we're brought up on a way, this is what's right and this is what's wrong.
I think that's a very important point, that we have to distinguish that a high school, you know, is a very dangerous place. We talked about the fact that every college has a gay group on campus. It's very easy to be gay in college. But high school, during adolescence, when people are very intolerant of differences.
Well, that's the whole point about high school, though. You make your friends. You start out small, and you make your friends, and you get your cliques there, and you don't really need the counseling.
If you're lucky and well-adjusted.
Yeah.
How does the school teach them to deal with society after high school? Because there's just going to be as much prejudice after
No, it does, and they also get counseling at the Institute. And they also live in society. They watch the Brady Bunch, they watch the Partridge Family on television. These are the shows that, I mean, they live in a straight society.
Kids are mean because the lady in the audience that commented that it's a sin is because they don't teach them. They don't, you know, I'm getting confused. They don't teach about the retarded. Like, the children, they look at retarded children like, you know, this.
Yes. Every parent who has tried to love and raise a child knows what you mean.
Terrible. Her kids are growing up thinking that it's horrible, it's a sin.
Gay kids are growing
That's
up
not
thinking
right.
it's a sin.
I'll be back in just a moment.
can travel the whole world over. It's beauty to explore. The Sullivan County Catskills will make you love New York. With all the treasures and the pleasures any wonderland can offer. It's a little bit like heaven, only closer. A little bit like heaven.
The Sullivan County Catskills, with the world's great resort hotels, bid you a warm welcome.
Only closer.
We get free film with our card.
Got double prints with mine.
Photomat has free film, free prints, terrific discounts with a preferred customer card, only from Photomat.
I get a free roll for each roll I bring in.
Or a second set of prints, free. Bring your film to Photomat for quality prints and big savings the moment you sign up for your preferred customer card.
When it's gotta be right, you know it's Photomat.
Want a Diet Cola?
Forget that sweet taste, come on, get snappy. Get that sugar-free snap today. Sugar-free Canada Dry ginger ale, that snappy taste will make your day. We're looking thin and we're feeling happy. 'Cause we're moving to Canada Dry. Come on and taste that crisp like ginger snap. Come on, get happy. Come on, get snappy. That snappy taste will make your day.
Canada Dry, now with 100% NutraSweet.
Come on, get snappy.
Oh, turkey again.
Tired of turkey, Joe? Give me that.
Hey, Dad's switching the bread on him.
Try this turkey. Great turkey.
What's so funny?
Same turkey, different bread.
Beefsteak rye makes any sandwich taste better, thanks to its big rye flavor, rich texture, and chewy crust. No wonder beefsteak's America's best-selling rye.
Great turkey. Great bread.
The inside tastes better with beefsteak rye on the outside.
The Institute for Protection of Lesbian and Gay Youth is a highly regarded organization that is out there, certainly in the early go, all alone, trying to ensure that the civil rights, that the full weight of the Constitution was brought to gays. 112 East 23rd Street, New York City. The zip is 10010, and it is with the cooperation of that organization that the city, yes, ma'am. Incidentally, this did not require, for those of you watching around the country, a vote on the part of the Board of Education. The fact that it didn't require a vote is probably much to the celebration of the members of the board. There are more than a few public servants who do not want to be pressured into a public vote on this issue.
I'm a fortunate woman in this society, and I'd like to just address this to all of us and the educational realm in general. Who is there among us who is not different from the other person? Period.
I think your panel ought to be complimented. They're great.
Yes, yeah.
I think the school is a good idea, and I think that gays are people too, and they also they can make great contributions.
I think the heterosexual population are afraid that homosexuals are growing in number.
And this will just make it
more open.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's more open, but this is what I think people are a little afraid of, too.
We've been there all along.
I think if we can support them when they're young and they get out into the society as an older person, they'll be more secure.
Yes, ma'am?
Yes, but how many parents will admit their child is a homosexual and send them to the school?
How many children will tell their parents that they're homosexual?
I believe the main problem with this is that it is a public school and that they're getting a special and significant better education than my daughter will, who'll go to a high school with 2,000 or 3,000 children and have a minimum of 30 children in a class and have to find...
You get a better education.
Exactly, exactly.
Yes, ma'am.
America, open your eyes and see the facts, because it's not something that you can push back. Once a baby's born, it's born. And this is something you cannot get rid of.
I was wondering about Lewis's parents when he confronted him with his...
Very briefly, Lewis, how were was your family supportive?
Well, when I first told them, they said it was a stage. When I was in the hospital, they said, oh, it's okay to be gay. But when I got out and everything was okay, they told me it was a stage again.
Phil? We'll be back in just a moment.
Thanks to the cake, you can't pinch an inch.
With the help of the 220-calorie Kellogg's Special K breakfast and those big, crispy, low-sugar, high-protein flakes, I can't think of a tastier or better way to start my day.
Thanks to the K, you can't pitch an inch on me.
If you save $1 on a long-distance call with MCI, don't think of it as $1. Think of it as, well, as an ice cream sundae. And if you save $30 a month with MCI, think of it as a new pair of jeans. And if you save $200 a year with MCI, think of it as $200 in the pocket of your new jeans.
Call MCI, and then call anywhere across New York and across the country.
Can't anybody make an Italian dressing that doesn't separate? So I don't taste oil in one bite and vinegar and spices in another.
Presto! Kraft has.
Presto?
No, there's Presto Italian dressing. Its lively herbs and spices are specially blended, so its real Italian taste stays together and clings bite after bite.
Presto, they got it together.
Presto Italian dressing from Kraft. Real Italian flavor, bite after bite.
You've gotta be happy. At Newmark & Lewis, we'll do just about anything to make you happy. Now, to most people, making sure they pay the lowest price is most important. And that's why they shop at Newmark & Lewis for microwaves, appliances, TVs, and audio-video equipment. Because Newmark & Lewis has always beaten the competition's price and still does. At Newmark & Lewis, you gotta be happy. Happy with the price, service, and selection.
And remember, I personally guarantee it.
It is glamorous working on Broadway and in Hollywood, and you can be part of it. You can be a makeup artist or hairstylist for stage and screen, but you need training. You need Wilfrid Academy of Beauty. They teach you everything to be a hairstylist to a star. Think about it. Then do it.
Call Wilfrid Academy in New York, 212-265-6500. In New Jersey, 623-6088.
I was against it when I came in, but I'm for it now. I really am, yeah. And another thing, yeah, I forgot now. If it's not a money issue, you say it's not. If it was, I mean, look at the money that's spent to send someone to the moon. What's this, really? Really?
It actually costs a lot less to send someone to school and to support them on welfare for the rest of their life. Yeah.
I agree with her about it being a sin, because it definitely is. They have programs. They have programs for alcoholics. I mean, people who have things in their lives that they want to commit suicide over, they are programs.
Services provided and promotional fees paid by the following.
When it comes to thinking of new ways to crash test cars, no one goes farther than Volvo. Volvo, a car you can believe in.
Use quality True Test Easy Care paint for Easy Does It painting in 3 finishes and many decorator colors from True Value hardware stores and home centers.
The Drake, a landmark hotel in the heart of Manhattan. For reservations outside of New York State, call 800-DRAKE-NY. In New York State, call 212-421-0900.
To get through?
Whatever it takes. I mean, they accumulate credits. They go to school and whatever.
Good morning, I'm Jane Hansen. In the news, the jury resumes its deliberations in the retrial of Klaus von Bülow. Jim Van Sickle is keeping vigil. John Miller has the story of the growing popularity of a videotape depicting horrible death stories. Gabe Pressman is in court where jury selection begins in the trial of 3 transit officers in the case of Michael Stewart. A coalition of religious leaders calls for shutting down a gay high school. Mary Sevilla reports. And Lloyd Kramer takes us to a bookstore that's all about being up in the air. Live at 5, author Colleen McCullough. Join us.
Sara Lee invites you to a relaxing little supper with new Le Sandwich Croissant. Tempting little meals tucked inside a light, flaky Sara Lee croissant. Ham and Swiss cheese. Chicken and broccoli. Settle back, huh? The night has just begun with new Le Sandwich Croissant. Tempting little meals from Sara Lee.
Nobody doesn't like Sara Lee.
Something's not kosher in the ham business.
This is a boar's head ham, one of the great hams in the world. These your ordinary, everyday hams. The question is, when you ask for boar's head ham and pay for boar's head ham, are you sure you get boar's head ham? There's only one way to know. Ask for, no, demand to see the boar's head brand. It's on the ham itself. It's our way of keeping the baloney out of the ham business.
A bookstore where the sky's the limit.
Details at 6.
This is the NBC Television Network.